Hello and welcome to Metra Home Theater Tech Tips. I'm Brent McCall.
I'm Adam Rogers.
Hello.
How's it going?
What do we got today, Adam?
So we've got an interesting one today. So first and foremost, the overall video today is going to be about how to speak or how to talk tech support. What that's going to be basically about is what are we looking for when we get a call from you guys out in the field. What
we're going to ask you.
Yeah, what are we going to ask you? And the most important thing, how you can get off the phone the quickest. So let's be honest, time is money. It's very important for you to get on the call with us and get off that call as quickly as possible, and that's going to be one of the main things that we talk about. However, I'm going to take a little segue real quick, if you don't mind, because in the past probably about a week and a half or so, we've gotten quite a few calls about networking when it comes to surveillance systems. So I'd like to take a minute to go ahead and kind of overview that real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll jump back into the tech support.
Okay.
Cool? Okay.
But particularly since it has nothing to do with me, I can just sit down here and enjoy the lesson.
So all that to say, hey guys, welcome to the video. I see everybody commenting already.
Hello, Ellen.
Yeah, hi Ellen. We've got Leo, we got Peter, we got Ellen, we got Austin, we got Sean. Jimmy from True Audio is on here. Hey Jimmy. So guys, thanks for checking in with us. And of course, as always, ask your questions as we go through the video. If they're good questions, we're going to ask them here on air. Or really, honestly, if they're any kind of question, we like answering questions. So,
ooh, and what's today's giveaway?
Oh, so today we have a special giveaway today. We are going to be giving away the HDM-AIO2 today. So best question or best comment will have the opportunity of winning the HDM-AIO2.
Great. Now get to your networking stuff.
Okay. So one of the big things that we've been having people call in on is what happens when we're doing surveillance systems and networking. Now, most situations they're doing this in residential homes where there's nothing in there when it comes to the network except for just the combo router modem piece that comes from the service provider. So in those scenarios, what you really have to keep in mind is how to set up your network and keep it in line with what's going on there and at that facility. So all that to say, I'm going to go ahead and jump over here to the top-down screen, and I'm going to do some art real quick while we do that. Let's see, we're going to go here. There we go. Ha, there we go. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and wipe this out here real quick. So one of the things that we run into when it comes to the networking portion to it, what we run into, the biggest thing is where do we put the cameras? So our cameras, the Spyclops cameras currently, they come with an IP address of 192.168.1.168 for the static IP cameras. They also come in different IP positions as well when it comes to the PTZ cameras, or if you're looking for the NVR itself, they come in different IP addresses. So when we look at how we want the network laid out, we need to first find out what the network is doing. So a lot of times we have 192.168.0 or we have a .1. This is pretty straightforward networking stuff that you're going to run into when you are actually out in the field and looking at all these things. So we need to find out what's going on. So first and foremost, go get your laptop, go get your phone, download a piece of software that tells you what the address is. Easiest one for me on a PC is Advanced IP Scanner. It's a great little tool. We actually have a video about this stuff on our YouTube channel, so while you're here watching us live, check out those videos over there.
Well, not while you're watching us live,
no,
but
of
yes.
course, but after the live. But go check that out as well. Advanced IP Scanner is one of them. Another one in Android or an iOS device would be Fing. Fing is a really great tool to use for that as well. It allows you to scan the network and find out what's going on. This is important not only just for the .0 or .1 subnet, but it's also really important to know where we're going to put these cameras. Now, luckily, if you go ahead and switch me back over, when you are dealing with a network, a lot of times when you scan that network, it's going to kind of give you an idea of where everything is at. So normally what we see, we're going to run with the .0, is we see the DHCP pool being anywhere from 100 through 200. So what we want to do is wherever we put the cameras, we want to be outside of that pool. Now, don't use this as a rule. Don't use this as the law to do it, because every network may be different. You may have a network that uses DHCP pool inside of 100 to 200. That you may have one that runs anywhere from 0 to 100 or 150 or somewhere in there. So what we use those scan tools is to find out where those pieces are on the network and where we should not be. So if you find that your DHCP pool, and I'll write this down here so you can remember that as well. If we find that the pool is 100 to 200, we want to be outside of that because we don't want to be stepped on and we don't want to step on anyone else when it comes to the IP address. So make sure that when you find the location where you want to be at, you're outside that pool. So in this scenario, what I recommend is going to 192.168.0.80 as your first IP address. From there, you go up. Now, normally what I like to do, because I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to these things, I like to do my NVR or DVR at 80, and then my first camera will be at 81, right? So you would do 192.168.0.81 for the first camera, and then 82 for the second camera, 83, 84, and then so on and so forth. What that's going to do is it's going to make sure that everything is lined up in the same area on the network to make sure that you don't have to worry about there being anything in a weird spot. Be a little bit of a control freak when it comes to this. That way you know that you have everything in one spot. It's easy to maintain an idea. Okay, you know, we've got this many technicians on one team, and then as we go through from job to job, they can see, okay, well, the IP network, the DHCP is between 100 and 200. I know that everyone else in the company, they put their stuff at 80, and then up from there, or you can decide to do something higher than that. You can go to 200 or 201 and go up from there.
And
But
this
if
is where
you-
documentation
Exactly.
really plays an
Document it,
important part.
Standardize these things inside of your company. These are things that when you are deciding how to lay out the networks, even if you don't have full control of that network, that it makes a big deal for that. So that's primarily what I wanted to talk about today, is just to make sure that everyone knows the difference between what it is with a DHCP pool versus what it is with when you are having full control over the network. So when you're dealing with a consumer style setup, definitely want to take advantage of those scan tools. Angry IP Scanner is another one that you can get on both PC and Mac if you're dealing with a Macintosh computer. And then Fing, F-I-N-G, I'm going to write that down actually so people can get the spelling for that. Flip that over for me if you would, Brent. F-I-N-G. Great tool to have on your phone, and it's a great tool to have inside. We were just talking last week about what to have on the truck, right?
Yep.
So that's a great thing to have with that. It's definitely something that it's important to have when you're dealing with networking.
And when you're calling us.
And when you're calling us. So exactly.
This
We're going to
falls
ask
right
you.
into today's discussion.
Exactly. So one of the big things that we have is we're doing network equipment now, especially when we're talking about surveillance and everything. Anytime you're dealing with network equipment, have a laptop with you so that if you need to do troubleshooting on the network, not even on the equipment that you're installing, but on the network itself, you can do that. And a lot of times that's necessary when you're trying to get these things set up. So
Don't assume that your cable company has your best interest at part
yeah, good
when
luck
they're
with that
setting
one.
these things up.
So again, everybody, ask your questions, put your little comments and stuff in here as well. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel. It's a big thing for us. And again, the best comment or the best question for today has a chance to win the HDMI-AIO2. Actually, that's right there on the screen. So definitely check that out. Leave your comments, leave your questions, and so we can answer those as we go on. So from there, Brent, how do you speak tech support?
Well, let's start with the basics.
Yep.
You guys are on the job site, you've been there, you're frustrated, it's not working. How long do you wait before you call for support? Now, Adam and I were discussing this the other day while we were working on what titles for these shows.
Yeah.
My rule of thumb is 15 minutes. My assumption is if it takes me more than 15 minutes to solve a problem, I am losing money.
Yeah.
Adam's response was,
I like 30 minutes. And the reason for me on that, it's more personal rather than financial. But again, I'm not running my own company. And so with you were dealing with your own company
Yes,
at
it's
that
my
point.
money.
Exactly. So for me, it was more of a personal thing. It takes me about 15 minutes to really go through the entire system to make sure that I'm understanding everything that's hooked up, make sure it's hooked up the right way. And then from there, I'm taking 15 extra minutes to go ahead and see if I can fix it first. So yeah, Brent's right. It really kind of depends on which aspect you're trying to look at it. If you're trying to, of course, save money, then yes, you want to do it as quickly as possible. If you are trying to be the hero to your client and look like you know everything without having to call up tech support, take that extra 15 minutes. That's the way I feel about it.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, now here's the thing. By the time you guys call us, and it's not uncommon for you to have not 15, not 30, an hour, 92 hours working on a problem
Right.
before you call tech support.
Right.
So let's be honest, by the time you're ready to call tech support, it pretty much starts like this. Your blah, blah, blah ain't working. Why?
Yeah. And believe me, we understand. We get it. You're frustrated.
We're still out in the field doing it.
Yeah, in fact, we were
yesterday.
We were there the other day.
Yeah.
So with that, we get it. We understand. When you get to the point where something isn't working, we understand. We get it. Part of our job, honestly, is just to let's slow things down a little bit, relook at everything. We're supposed to be that extra pair of eyes to help you get the job done.
It is not an uncommon question when we solve a problem for somebody. It's like, well, how do you know all this? How can you solve these problems? Honestly, it's pretty easy. We're not on the job site staring at the first tree in front of the forest.
Yeah, exactly. We're able to kind of step back a little bit and see what's going on.
We don't have the emotional investment in the job. You've been there. The client's looking over your shoulder. That party's starting in 30 minutes.
Yep.
Why don't I have music?
Yep, exactly.
We get it.
Yeah.
We're here to help you with that, but there are things you can do to help us.
Exactly. I have 3.
Okay.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to say my 3 things, and then if you'll
Okay.
compile your
Well,
3
do
things
me a
as
favor.
I'm doing that.
As
Yep.
you say your 3 things,
Go ahead and write it down for you.
Write them down.
Okay.
You get
So
that half? We're socially
that'll work
distancing
perfect.
here?
So my first thing that I always have available when I call up tech support, first and foremost, is the product of the company I'm calling. I have the model number. That is the very first thing that I have available to me. So that I can give that to tech support when I call in. It's important to us because we need to know what, first off, in our minds, we compartmentalize a lot inside of, because we have so many different types of products that we have to deal with. And so as soon as you tell us what product we're dealing with, we're able to then go to that place in our mind to say, okay, now we start talking about troubleshooting this type of device, whether it be an extender, an HDMI cable, spy clops, surveillance system, something like that. So my first thing is the model number of what the device that you're working with. My second thing, go ahead and give me from start to finish the design of the system. I know this could be a lot of stuff, and I may not need every single part of the system, but at least the line of the device that's in there.
The signal chain.
Exactly. So when we're talking about an HDMI cable or an HDMI extender, at that point, what I like to have is, okay, I've got an HDMI cable. So here's our source device. This is a Sony UBP-X800. We're going all across an HDMI cable, an install bay, or an MHX or MHY cable. We're going maybe, say, a meter, and then we're going to an extender. So from there, I can say, okay, there's the extender. What's after that? Okay, we're going to the TV or a receiver or an AVR or something else like that in that line. What that tells me is everything that's in line for that signal path, because there may be incompatibility issues. Those are real things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
And while he's on that, things that don't always get shared with us is, okay, I'm going through a punch down, or I'm going through this, or I'm going through that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes us a good chunk of the call just to find out the entire signal path. So everything in that path becomes important.
Right.
Do you have couplers? Do you have surge protectors?
Right.
Anything.
Right. My third thing, I'm going to catalog everything that I have done to troubleshoot. That was that 15 minutes that I like to work on to troubleshoot things to find out what's wrong with it. I'm going to catalog everything that I've done up to the point of actually talking to them on the phone. So, which some companies that you call up and call their tech support, they're going to say, you're going to be reading from a script, and they're going to say, please reboot, please hold it for 15 seconds, please, whatever, and they're going to be reading from that script. We're a little bit more advanced than that, obviously. When you call, you get either Brent or myself. We have
Or Stuart and
we got
Lewis.
Stuart or Lewis in here as well. Stuart's not going to come on the camera today. He's a little shy. But with that being said, what I like to know ahead of time is, what have you already done? And because if you've already rebooted something or you've already done something, I may ask you to verify it, but for the most part, it lets me know, one, where are you in your capabilities? And two, what have you already done so that we don't have to do it again? Even something that saves a lot of time, if you've already replaced something, you're good. Even if you've already replaced something, what happens at that point is it lets me know that you've already replaced it and it started working when you replaced it. Now, that may not be the solution. A lot of times what we run into is where you have something and you've already replaced something, but it's going to work for only a couple months.
Or
now,
less than.
Or less than. These are things like extenders or something else that's causing, help me out here, capacitance buildup.
Yes, capacitive loading.
The capacitive loading, thank you. So with that, those are my 3 things. Go ahead, catalog what you've already done. Tell me about the signal path, and first and foremost, tell me the model number of the device that we're working with.
Now, I am not going to disagree with any of those. However, I am going to say this. When I call tech support, and I am the first one, when it's my money and coming out of my pocket, I don't care who it is, I'm calling help. I call Adam.
Yeah.
Because if I'm on a job site and I'm frustrated, I am making myself no money and I'm probably making my job worse. So the first thing I do when I call tech support, hi, yeah, this is Brent with Metra Home Theater. I'm probably an idiot. Now, if I say this to Adam, his first response is, yeah.
Well, we already know that
Yeah.
anyway, so.
But what that does out of the gate is it relaxes you a little bit, and it takes that tech support guy off an already prepped defensive position. Because by the time you called, if it's noon or 1 or 3 in the afternoon, he's already had 40 or 50 calls before you.
Right.
And all those calls, maybe 3 of them are pleasant ones. Most of them are not. And it's not that the guy wants to be defensive. It's just by that time of the day, it comes with the job. So anything you can do to soften the blow going into him helps him fix your problem faster.
Right.
Now, things I like to do, the model, the signal path. Oh, the signal path is super important to me.
It's very, very important.
I keep a giant 8-foot whiteboard behind my desk so that when somebody calls me, I'm on speakerphone, and what I'm doing is I am laying the whole thing out on the whiteboard behind me while I'm talking to you.
Yeah. And
At
that's
60 years old, I don't remember all these parts you're telling me.
Well, listen, and even at 30, this is something that I'm doing at the same time. When you tell me the path, if we get kind of convoluted in some areas, I'm going to draw it because that's the easiest way to know
Right.
where
we
everything's
have to
at.
know what's going on. And that's why we ask, is there anything else? Is there any wall plates? Is there any surge protectors? Is there additional power strips that may be on a separate circuit?
Yeah.
All of this makes a difference in where we go with tech support.
Yeah.
Now, my number one thing is pen and paper. This is for you. And I tell you why. Because when we start asking you questions, I want you to index what we're doing, because just because the problem's suddenly gone, we don't know why the problem's gone.
Right.
And we don't want to just fix the problem. We want to know why the problem's no longer there.
Right.
And if you do 2 or 3 things at one time,
Yep.
the problem may be fixed for the moment, but as he mentioned, if it's capacitive loading, it can be back.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you, okay, let's lay out an index. Step number 1, do this. Is there any kind of change? Well, no. And if it's an extender, the very first thing we're going to ask you to do is look at your terminate. Actually, the very first thing we're going to ask you is,
Yeah.
what terminals are you using, sir?
Yes, we are. We won't
And
get into too much detail about that because
that's a whole nother video.
Yeah, we are live on something like that.
But that's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, we're going to ask you to take a look at your terminals. Now, if you're anything like us, I've been doing this for 25 years. It's not my terminals. Yes.
We get it. And listen, I've been doing it for 6 years now, and I would say that my terminations, I even told Stuart the other day, my termination works every single time that I've done it. That's a bold-faced lie. I was joking with him at the time. However, the thing is that even though you have good terminations at most of the jobs that you have done, the problem is just like with our HDMI cables, the reality is you can have a defective connection. We have products, our return rates on our HDMI products are less than 0.1%. And so because of that, it's not 100% are good products. But the thing is that no matter what, you're going to have a defective termination.
All it takes is one bad time.
Yep. With that as well, things like the making sure that, not to jump too far on that, but when you test a termination in RJ45 and you're using a meter to test it, or you're using a continuity tester, that's unfortunately, it's not good enough to say, oh, my termination is good. If you connect it and you're having problems, you still want to redo that termination because it's just continuity. What else you got?
Go ahead and give me an overhead, because I want to cover this real quick, because this one's kind of important.
Oh, that's not switching over.
When you are looking at
There you go.
When you are looking at your terminals, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things, and how Adam approaches it may be slightly different, but we get to the same place.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to hold that terminal up, and I'm going to have you spin it slowly and look at all the conductors. Typically, you'll run into problems on 1 and 8. Might be slightly pulled back when you look at it from a side view.
Right.
I'm also going to ask you to look at that terminal head on, and you'll see 8 copper dots. They had better be in a straight row. If they are not in a straight row, it means that you're, and by the way, that's not a straight line.
I was going to say, you want me to give you a straight Well, see, I'm not even straight line. There you go. Yeah.
If it's not, your die set's going bad in your crimp tool and you're going backwards.
Right.
So, number one for me is pencil and paper, because we're going to go down and we're going to say, try this. Did it make a difference? Is there any change? Now, I mean any change.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a little quicker on the sink or is it slower on the sink? Are you getting sparkles or no sparkles? So we're going to walk through these things one at a time. And you're not going to just plug it in and see an instant result.
Right.
It may take a minute or two. So that's number one, is you've got to have pen and paper with you.
Yeah.
Number two, a voltometer.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, people, carry a voltometer in your truck. We mentioned this last week.
Yes, we did.
And it's very important because you can have issues with your 110
Yep.
that will absolutely affect everything on the low voltage side.
Yeah.
So just the ability to stick the probes in the outlet and say, you know what, I'm at 107 volts here. Mm-hmm. Or as we found 2 weeks ago when we ran into a problem on audio, we had a major ground differential with voltage coming over a coax, 98 volts.
Yeah, we were getting 98 volts. There was a bad connection in there. We were getting AC voltage. That was scary.
This happens to everybody. So be prepared for that. That's number two. Mm-hmm. Number three is, honestly, sometimes I'm just going to ask you to take a step back and go do something else for 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it takes that tension level in you down, because when you sit there and you do it and you do it and you do it, particularly with an extender, you're going to start chewing up cable, and before you know it, you can't redo it again.
You've gone too far.
And you can't fix it. Now, anybody that's ever called me has probably been told, okay, here's what I want you to do. Unplug all the gear, every piece of copper connected to it for 15 minutes, not 12, not 13, not 14 and a half, 15 minutes, and step back. The reason we ask you to do this, and by the way, this solved a problem just the other night,
Yep.
is you want to do a full capacitive discharge on the devices.
That's right.
The other night we got a call, DirecTV was having an issue, and normally we would recommend an AIO, or an AIO2 now, which would solve the problem. He was on the job site, did not have one of those, and the problem is he was suffering a lack of voltage and current. DirecTV has changed their rules, requiring in a firmware change more voltage and current, and on some cables or AVRs, there's not enough current there to keep the output happy, so it shows an HDCP error. It's not an HDCP error. It's a voltage/current change. They're now demanding more. So what I had him do was get a splitter out of his truck, power everything down for 15 minutes, put the splitter in, connect the coax to the dish first. Important. And if it's a cable company, definitely connect the coax to the modem or the cable box first.
Yep.
Then boot everything up, and it solved his problems.
Yep.
So when you get this 15 minutes, it is necessary for the gear, and it's not bad for your mental health either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how many times have you been on the job site and it's been something that you've been working on? This is the fourth time you've come out to that job. You've replaced equipment, you've done this, you've done that, and you're just sick and tired of it. And you call up tech support, and again, I get it. You call me up, you're frustrated, you have problems, you want them solved now. And I get that. Take that 15 minutes. We're gonna do the 15-minute reset with you at some point in time if you call in, and use that 15 minutes to go ahead, get a cup of water, slow yourself down a little bit, come back to it, breathe deep, take a couple deep breaths,
Little Zen action.
Yep, come back to it, and then at that point, look at it one more time as we go through it together.
With a different set of eyes along with you.
Exactly.
Now, the next thing that Adam and I do is, when you call it the problem, we don't want to just say, here, do this to fix it.
Right.
We want to educate you as to why it's happening, so that when you fix it, you don't have to deal with it again in the future.
Right.
So honestly, if you're just looking to call up and say, what do I do? Press a button. Okay, that button, great, bye, click. Mm-hmm. You really haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
And our job, at least in our opinion, is that when you get off the phone with us, you know not only how to fix the problem, but how to avoid the problem in the future.
Right.
That's really what we want from you.
And we get calls all the time from the same people over and over again. I'm not going to name any names, but the thing is that they are the type of people who they have to get on the call and off the call immediately. And if that's how you want to do it, we're going to answer your questions. We're going to help you out. But if you take the extra minute, watch videos like this, watch videos like we have on our YouTube channel that
And I'm
walk
going
you
to
through
plug our
certain
new
things.
series.
Yes.
We have a new series of videos coming. They're going to be 3 to 5 minutes each.
Yeah.
It's going to be Metra Home Theater Tech Tips, Quickie Q&A.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just a very specific question and why that problem is happening and how to fix that problem.
And on those videos, what we'll be doing is we will be answering the questions that you have on our videos, even if it's not a live video.
Right,
if
just
it's any
a
of our
good
other ones,
question.
we'll do a response, and with the video response, that way we can talk about it and find out what's going on. But we're even going to take it a step further. We're going to go to some of the other forums and answer questions
Remote
that way.
Central and Integration Pros. And again, if it's something that we have legitimate knowledge of, no politics, no religion, nothing about my amazing personality and or wit,
Yeah. So, Brent, we've
which,
got
by the way, I have.
Well, sure. With that being said, we've got some great banter happening in the chat.
Wonderful. So talk to me.
We really do. So first and foremost,
Do they get called a used car salesman again?
No, you're okay.
Okay.
You're okay. So Ellen, I love this. You need to ask if they can tie their shoelaces.
No. As
Brent
a matter
can't.
of fact,
He's actually wearing. You're wearing slip-ons.
hold on a second.
There you, you're going to show off your
Slip-ons.
shoe.
So no, I can't tie my shoelaces.
The second thing is, did the client pay their bill? That's on you. If you're calling us up, we're going to help you out whether or not the client paid their bill or not. We're still going to help you if it's a new install or if it's an install from 10 years ago. We're still going to help you. It doesn't matter to us whether or not your client paid. That's on you.
This is very, 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 very important. If you call up and the client's in the room and you are on speakerphone, please tell us. Because tech support can, particularly with me, sometimes
with you,
be
tech support, yes.
reasonably blunt about what is happening.
So this is actually in a perfect response to your comment there, Ellen. I'm not going to read it aloud at this point in time. However,
But yeah, please tell us.
yeah.
We're happy to talk with your consumer if you want us to. We just need to know he's there.
So the expert says all the people that have been my helper have heard me say, give them all the info up front. Don't make them ask 10 questions.
Yes.
This is true. Now, we don't want your whole life story. We don't want to know that this client hasn't paid you or this client hasn't done that or, you know, you've just rolled out of bed 10 minutes ago and you're still groggy. We don't want the whole
okay,
life
the groggy
story.
part we do need to know.
Well, yeah, that does help us so that we make sure we
And
don't,
hungover.
you know, we can help out with that. But all that to say, yes, let us know. The thing is that we may not be your doctor, but we're the doctor of the equipment that you're working on. We need to know everything that's happened. I don't care if you've done something to the equipment. I just need to know that it's been done because that makes a huge difference on what we do with tech support. I'm not going to just hang up the phone on you because you did something that I didn't ask you to do.
Yeah, and on that note, this is not uncommon. They don't tell us everything they've done to that point.
Yep.
And something they've done may be very important in our next statement to them.
Yes.
We're not going to judge you because, look, you're in the field. You're the guy trying to make this work. And believe me, we've all done some interesting things that may not have been our best choices.
So, Leo, you're saying that we need a way of doing video so that when you're in the field trying to explain what's going wrong, we can send or do a live video chat. We're working on it. It's actually something that I've requested because of the simple fact that we're not there. And so we're reliant on your description of what's going on. It's a feature that we're looking at. Currently, we use TeamViewer to remote into laptops and cell phones with your permission, of course, at that time. But what that does for us is it allows us to, you know, take control of the laptop and show people how things need to be set up, especially when it comes to like the Spyclops
That's
and stuff like
definitely
that.
his
Right.
domain.
But when it comes to the equipment for what's going on, usually a lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually give you our email address and you can email a video or email a photo of what's going on. And that way we get a better idea of the layout. In fact, a lot of times when it comes to problems with extenders and the terminations, I'll ask you, hey, do me a favor.
Send us a photo.
Send us a photo.
By the way, a non-fuzzy one's a plus.
Yes, please. I was just about to say, if you send us a photo of your terminations, take the time and make sure it's completely in focus when you send it to us because it's not the termination that I'm looking at, it's the termination that you've done I'm looking at. I don't care that it's an RJ45 or an RJ11 or F connector or whatever it is. I need to see how you have done a termination to make sure, and again, it's not because you haven't done a termination right, it's just because we need to verify it till we can move on to the next step.
Now, many of you have my cell phone number. and it's available to those of you who do not.
Yep.
I do FaceTime, Skype, WeChat, WhatsApp, Messenger.
Yep.
I do a fair amount of video conferencing. So if you have a need, let us know. I work from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Now I'm going to quantify that statement. I do HDMI and AV support from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. I am not qualified for SpyClops. No. Let you know that up front. I know we sell it. I know it's a brand.
Yeah.
That's Adam's gig.
Yep, that's me. I'll help you out with that. Don't worry about
And
that
networking.
Stuff. And you know, I like networking, so I'm able to help out with that as well. So, but you know, all in all, if you have a problem, here's the other thing. Don't be shy about telling us that you're using a competitor's product.
Yeah.
We don't care. When it comes right down to it, well, yes, we would like you to use our product.
And we hope you will after calling us.
Exactly. Let us know what's there. While you may say, hey, this is, you know, hey, this is the guy
Somebody
that,
else's
yeah,
cable.
this is somebody else's thing. Okay,
Well,
whose cable?
which cable is it?
Yeah, which
we
cable?
need to know. Let's be
Model
honest.
number. We
Is
look
it
at
from
these
a
things.
reputable manufacturer
Yep.
or is it off of an unknown site online? We need to know these things.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have going on here.
Now, you can send us money as gratuity afterwards.
Yep.
Or
Let's
beer.
see. Da. Okay, so this one's interesting. So a competitor, and again, I'm not going to say because we're live right now, but a competitor recommends that they cut an angle on the Ethernet cable before feeding it into the RJ45. So when you lay out the different pins and whatnot, and
That's
you cut
an
it at
interesting
angle,
thought, but no.
Yeah.
Here's my take on this, and we have been very successful
Yes.
with this. Once you have splayed out your wires in the correct color code you have selected, 568A or B, take a pair of scissors, cut in a straight line.
Yep.
The reason I recommend scissors over dikes or wire cutters is they cut with sharpness of a thin blade, not with the blunt force that gives you. When you cut with a dike, you wind up with a wire like that with generally a little jagged edge at the end of it. This is terrible to go into the terminals.
Right.
What you really want is a straight line at the end, and that's what a pair of scissors will do much better than dikes or the other ones.
Right.
I would not cut in an angle because getting that to square up after the fact is going to be tough.
Right. Let's see if we got any other comments or questions. Again, guys, keep bringing on the questions. Keep bringing on the comments. We love hearing from you guys about
Remember,
this stuff.
you get to win something.
Yep. You get to win the HDM-AIO2. So best comment, best question. We'll have an opportunity of winning that. Let's see what we have going on.
And by
as
the way,
well.
we also recommend if you have any good questions for our new Quickie Q&A,
Yeah.
send them to us because the more we do, the more all of us gain from this.
Right.
And if you send a question we don't have an answer to, we'll set it up and figure it out.
Ed says he wants a copy of that TV mount chart in the background.
Oh, okay, we have them.
Yeah. Austin's going to get it to you, or Ellen will, however that works out. So,
But yes.
they'll get that over to you. It's a great thing. You throw it up in your showroom, and you can kind of have it there for people to look
It's
at.
actually not bad for us either because you get to a point where part numbers start to collect in your head.
Well, for you.
Is that an age-based dig at me?
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
Anyways, all that to say, when we talk about how to speak tech support, the truth of the matter is we're all humans here. We all are just trying to get the job done, and we're all trying to just make sure that everything's going to work at the end of the day. So when you call us up, I'm cool with you just kind of saying, hey, something weird's going on. It's probably your product. For me, I'm okay with that. Whenever we call tech support ourselves, when we have issues, when we're doing installations ourselves, at that point, we're usually going to say, hey, it's my fault. I probably did something wrong. But the thing is that give us a call. You're frustrated. That's okay. We're trained back here to know how to kind of bring that frustration down a little bit, make everything work. The other thing is, out of all of that, be open to having to do something one step extra.
Or again.
Or again, I've had in the past I had somebody call in, and they wanted an immediate answer to say, I need an HDMI cable that just works. And you know, you've got this one. It was about the detachable head shell. Is what it was.
Okay.
And he says, you've got this power stuff on there. Does that mean it just, you know, it might not work, and so you put the power stuff on there? I said, well, no, it has to do with your situation. HDMI as a whole has problems every once in a while, and what that power is going to do is it's going to allow you to supplement the power on the cable and go from there.
If needed.
And he was very upset by that because he needed a cable that just works. And unfortunately, in any kind of job that you're on, any kind of work that you're doing, that's not going to happen. That's just not how things work, unfortunately.
It is HDMI.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, before we get too much further along, let's talk about some upcoming episodes. What is happening on this Friday?
So this Friday is going to be pretty interesting. And actually, before we jump into that, networking for CCTV guys would be great. So let's see, are we done with the IP part of this? Leo, yeah, so I just really wanted, that was the main thing that we were talking about. Leo was asking, are we done with the IP part of this?
Well, we don't have to be.
We don't have to be. If you have a question about it,
If guys would like to ask, please say, tell us more, and Adam can get deeper into it.
Mostly what I wanted to talk about with that was just, that was the solution to the calls that we have gotten recently. So I wanted to kind of put that out there first and foremost real quick and do that. We have on our YouTube channel, we have like 3 videos that I put together recently. Actually, it's been a little while. It's been a couple months. However, it walks you through the steps on how to get our cameras set up with our systems, as well as the first video in the series actually walks you through some pretty some IP basics on how to get a network set up and how to navigate around the network as well. I really recommend looking at that. It's a great video to watch through, not just because I said it's great and I was on the video, but also because it helps lay things out for you. If you keep things in line on that, the main point of that is just keep everything organized, catalog what you're doing.
And do it the same way every time.
Exactly. That way, if you have a helper with you who goes over to another job site to do some troubleshooting or to do an installation, they already know how things should be done over there. So let's see what else we have going on here. So anyways, but yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into it. Next week, or actually this Friday, we are having our Fiber Friday. That's actually worked out pretty well. Actually, oh, nope, there it goes. But our Fiber Friday.
Fiber Friday?
You're making me do it.
Fiber Friday.
Thank you. At that point, what we'll be doing on Friday is we're going to be talking about where and when to use AOC cables.
Versus bulk.
Or pardon me, AOC, because AOC
Means
cables is
cable.
the same thing. Anyways, and also what's the difference between AOC and bulk fiber, the benefits of AOC cables and all that kind of good stuff. The live channel, or the live video for that is already up, so definitely hit the little button to remind you about it. Give us a thumbs up on this video today, hit the subscribe button, we really appreciate that.
Join us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
yeah, definitely
wherever the other normal social items are, none of which I understand.
Yep. We're also next Wednesday
this is a good
at
one.
3 o'clock. We're really excited about this one. We have worked it out with our friends over at JVC and Screen Innovations. Next Wednesday, the 15th of April, at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be doing a panel with JVC and Screen Innovations all here live on YouTube. So definitely come back for that video. Check in on it, because you'll have an opportunity not to only talk with us about it, but also to ask your questions to JVC and Screen Innovations.
Yes.
And that's a feature that we would like to continue on. If it works out really well, we want to be able to do that as well with other manufacturers and whatnot out in the wild. And so definitely check in on that video. And as we come up with the new videos and titles and descriptions and whatnot, or subjects that we can talk about, we'll let you guys know, and we'll put it up on our
Now, the Quickie Q&A is something that Adam and I have set up where if a good one comes across, it's very relevant for that day. We can step into the studio, which is our lab. This is not like a separate building. This is, his desk is right there.
Yep.
We can knock these things out fairly quickly. They're not going to be high production value, honestly.
Yep.
You'll see a straight-on shot and a down shot if there's anything that needs to be shown on that or hardware. Yep. So 3 to 5 minutes, you can get a good answer on a question that makes sense. It's not just words.
And if it's something that needs to be expounded on further than that, then we'll do a tech tips like we are today, and we'll talk more about it then. So with that, guys, I think, let me double check, make sure, how do you guys overcome the challenges of people having 11 names in the same product? Very troublesome and trying to find. Okay, this is actually, this one's actually kind of interesting for you, Alan. So Ellen asks, how do you guys overcome the challenges of people having 11 names for the same product? I find it can be very troublesome in trying to find out what the actual complaint is. So the way that we overcome that in tech support when we get a phone call is when they call us and they're telling us what the problem is, even if they don't use the correct term for it. So for instance, the HDMI extenders are incorrectly called balins by a lot of people. In fact, they were called balins by me up until I started working here.
And us originally.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, exactly. Our original extenders were called balins.
And just completely sidelined, we got a call the other day from the guy whose very first extenders,
right,
which was our Cat 5A,
right,
which was the 2-wire unit, just now died.
Did it really? Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
And we're talking something from 12 years ago?
Yep. So with that, yeah, exactly. And so 12 years ago, which is great.
He wanted to know if he could buy a replacement part.
Yeah, so in those situations, what we'd like to do is they'll tell us, hey, I've got this HDMI baling. That's fine. Call it a baling, that's fine, because I'm not going to muddy the waters by saying, oh, it's an extender. What I'll do in that response is I will then call it an HDMI extender. What is your extender's model number? What is that, extender
Who made it?
doing?
And
Who made
again,
that extender?
don't assume that it has to be our product for us to help you.
Yeah.
Now, specifics about feature sets of a product, the only thing we can do is go online and look. We had a guy call us the other day about an extender from someone else that had selectable hot plug, which I had never heard of before.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And I don't think we ever got an answer from him about whose that was.
No.
So I'm kind of curious about that.
And actually, the hot plug question he asked us will be handled in a number of the new Quickie Q&As, because it walks over many different questions.
Yeah. One last thing to talk about with tech support, and this is one of my favorites because we've all done it. If you call me up and we find out that it's a stupid reason that something is wrong or something's not working, like for instance, the power cord is unplugged or the service to the house is turned off, it's okay. We get it. We get too many calls like that. You're not the first one. You're not the only one that day. And it happens to us. Let's be honest about that, right? So
again, that's why it's good to call someone else, because they're going to ask you the questions you don't want to ask yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes just that second pair of eyes really makes all the difference in the world. It's not that we're geniuses. It's just not our job.
Right.
We're not there looking at that tree again.
Right. So with that, guys, the overall arching story of today's episode is just that. Give us a call. Tell us your problems. Be honest with us. Tell us everything that's going on. And then from there, let's come together and find a solution for what's happening.
One more thing. We were awarded, I believe, Best Tech Support.
Oh, we were. Again?
On CE Pro. I got the thing from somebody this morning on that.
Aha.
Let me blow it up here. Make sure
it's not going to blow up, is it?
No,
it's not going to do it for you. Yeah.
There we go.
Aha. We'll do a top-down shot. Yeah. Let's get over there to that, and there we go. That's us.
I'm the good-looking one in the middle.
Sure.
That's Adam, and Stuart.
That's Stuart. There you
So
go.
thank you very much for your support of us.
Yes, thank you.
We tremendously appreciate that, and things like that really do make our day.
Yeah, we take it very seriously here.
And when you guys call back and said, you know what, your idea worked, it fixed the problem, you truly have no idea how good that makes us feel.
Yeah. My favorite call is when you call me up and say, there's no problem, just saying everything works great. Have you ever gotten one of those?
No, I get the thank you, but no, I don't get the, hey, I don't really need you this week, but I just wanted to say hi.
All right, guys. I'm Adam.
I'm Brent McCall, and once again, thank you for joining us for Metra Home Theater Tech Tips.
We'll see you next time.